All right, welcome back, everyone. Final thoughts as we get ready for the second half hour of the show. Howard, the floor is yours.
I don't have one.
You don't have one?
No.
Do you want to go to Joe?
Yeah, let me come back to me. I pass.
Come back to Howard. He's passing. Joe? I love the pan with the – that is just great television. That is great television.
My final thought is that the run defense is the big issue here, and that's what predicated everything against the Bills in this game. I mean, when it started off where their defensive tackles, their linebackers, right up the middle of that defense, we saw it, signs of it against the 49ers early on when Christian McCaffrey was still in that game. The Rams, who like to block with power, run block with power, they took those signs from the Niners. Like, all right, we're gonna make the Bills prove that they've changed from last week to this week, and the Bills did not, and they just got blown off the ball. I mean, Bobby Babich talked about it. They need everybody to play a winning caliber of football on the field, and they just didn't get that from their personnel, and most notably defensive tackles, linebackers, safeties. It was just a big problem, and then that trickled into the Rams being able to do whatever they wanted, whether it was the end arounds to Puka Nacua, whether it was play action, which became a staple of their game in the third offensive series. So just a lot of bad, but the root problem of all of it, explosive run plays allowed, and that's something that they need to address moving forward.
Okay, so final thoughts.
Yes, I'm so happy you did this. I'm
that.
so happy you guys did the slide.
Right.
That makes it so good.
Khalil Shakir, I still have my man crush. Get out of my shot. It's a one shot, Joe. I still have my man crush on you, Khalil. You're amazing. That touchdown yesterday, splitting the defenders and then breaking the tackle inside the 10 was vintage Shakir. 2, we all did live to see the Bills execute a screen pass successfully for a touchdown. That happened yesterday, too. 3, way to go, special teams. You put another log on the fire yesterday. And 4, I am now forever telling you, I will never again watch a Kansas City Chiefs football game because they are the luckiest freaking team in professional sports. And they just make me angry. And I needed a second bottle of Jack Daniels after that game.
Well, I don't know if we were going to do the slide again, but my final thought is quite simply other way. The Bills have been a really good team in December, and it has not gotten them anywhere. Maybe if they're not a great team in December, that actually means they'll be a better team in January and then potentially even February.
Really going galaxy brain. Huh?
I just think, hey, listen, they've been really good, and then they still slip up in the playoffs. Maybe it's better to get the ugly games out of the way now, get punched in the mouth, figure out what you got to be better at, because realistically, they had won 7 games in a row. Did any of us think that they were going to win every other game until eventually, if they get to the Super Bowl? That seems a little unrealistic. But I'll tell you this, if they go on another 7-game win streak, you know what that would mean?
Here we go.
That they either are back in the Super Bowl or they have won the Super Bowl. So just do another 7-game win streak and, see how it plays out. As for the Sabres, they're well on their way to a 7-game losing streak after the start they've had. But don't worry, everyone. This is a Bills show. So on the other side of the break, we will take your questions, talk about the Bills, the rest of the season, the Kansas City Chiefs, all that and
9
more.
9 players on the field for a punt.
We didn't even mention that.
I know.
We got a lot to get to. That's all on the other side of the break. Stick with us.
Totally forgot about that. I actually walked out of the basement before the final series. I knew they weren't going to get the ball back. I was so pissed off. I went out for a walk, and I had no idea what happened on that last.
All right, everyone. We are live here on
Sean
social media. The Sabres just scored.
Yeah, I'm surprised he said that.
Hey.
Really? Why?
2-2, everyone.
Well, yeah. Don't say anything.
Okay, friends. Here, we already have questions. This is from Rob Chase. Hi, Rob. Thanks for joining us. I know you watch a lot. Hypothetical question. Would the defense have played better if Hyde was playing? That's an interesting question.
No.
Julia, what IFB line?
It's just a little bit too much too soon for Micah Hyde. I mean, he had one actual practice this past week.
Like how many snaps would he have even had if they put him out
And
there?
Micah Hyde does not play defensive tackle as well.
Right.
And that was one of their biggest issues.
Or corner.
Or linebacker for that matter. No, he would not have made a huge difference in my mind.
I haven't been on this show since the Bills signed Micah Hyde, and you haven't been on this show since the Bills signed Micah Hyde. But I know 2 guys who are really adamant on this show about them actually signing Micah Hyde. We can take a little bit of a victory lap if we want to today, buddy. We get a lot of heat. Did I tell you what I talked to Mike about before the game yesterday?
No.
I don't think he would
humble and
mind.
hungry.
I don't think he would mind me sharing this. So before the game yesterday, Micah was on the field and I was on the field. And I was like, do you know how much I talked about you
Every week
coming back? And he was like, no. He's like, I really did like kind of tune out. And he's like, did you take a lot of heat for it? I was like, I sure did.
Oh, wow.
And then we started talking about some other stuff. And then at the end, he was like, you know what? I'm happy for us. And I'm like, me too, man. Me too. We did it, buddy.
That's funny.
All right, 15 seconds. We are coming back on the TV side of things. Make sure to keep asking us your questions. We've already got a lot of them.
What are we doing in this segment?
Anything we want.
Okay. Joe, split and Adam.
What?
Split and Adam. Oh, what happened?
The batteries on your mic pack just went
that's
out.
probably not a good thing. Thank you.
Hold on. It might be the wrong way.
Want me to do it?
All right, welcome back, everyone. We look like we have some technical difficulties because Howard's mic just fell off, and now we are trying to figure out how to put the batteries back in the microphone. So for the time being, I am going to be the one that is going to talk to you while the two of them figure things out. If you could please in the control room let me know if his mic is back on.
He's green light.
I don't know if green light means it's on, though. Can you guys hear him, everybody? Welcome to the second half an hour of Leading the Charge. The Bills lose to the Los Angeles Rams yesterday, 44-42. I have just been told by the fine folks in the control room, Howard's mic is good. Questions?
That's not a good
Questions?
thing. Thanks, Joe.
Questions already starting to pour in. But I do want to talk about something we didn't get to in the first half an hour. That's the special teams blunders, because there were two big ones in this game that can simply not happen. Yes, Chris, I think the microphone is okay. The first one, the blocked punt, inexcusable that happens in a game and then it turns into a touchdown. Even more inexcusable is having 9 players on the field and then not even trying to return the ball and letting the game end. And you know who else was not happy about this? Sean McDermott. You want to know why? Because he brought it up without even specifically being asked about it. He was like, we didn't have enough guys on the field. No, I said that because he was sending a shot to the special teams coordinator of like, that can't happen. Mm-hmm. So that's another factor in this game. This game looks different if they don't have a punt return for a touchdown.
I got a question for both of you, and I mean this honestly. The minute they had the onside kick, I didn't even watch. I knew the game was over. So I was so angry. I had to go out for a walk in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Didn't they also have, like, the Rams took a delay of game?
They did. And
called a timeout, and the Bills still only had 9 guys on the field?
Here's how that whole sequence happened. So the timeout was called, I believe, before the delay of game, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh-huh.
And then, but at that point, the Rams still had their offense on the field.
Okay.
After the delay of game was called is when they brought the punt team on the field. And so that's when
I guess my point is it wasn't a rush job to quickly get your punt team on the field.
No, it was still in the confines of like a regular 40-second clock. But even still, if you're a special teams coordinator, you should coordinate having 11 players ready to go.
Yeah. You know a punt is coming. So you should, okay. You should be sending 11 guys at the punter to block it if humanly possible.
Exactly.
I mean, after all, they did earlier.
Well, in this case, 10. I mean, because if you don't get
they weren't
to them,
going to return it.
I know, but you still give yourself an out at that point. But they didn't. They refused to take the out because Codrington, it didn't even look like he was even trying. So he must have been instructed to
just let it fall, and then
maybe it goes to the end zone and they have a second.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Special teams was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Defense was a bigger problem. In the last half hour, we did a little bit of like a panic meter segment about where we are. And none of us were really over the top with like, hey, this is a really big reason to be concerned. What's the reason to not be super concerned? We talked about maybe some of the reasons like, hey, this happened in the game, this happened in the game. What would you say are like, hey, like I wouldn't freak out about the defense yet?
Just because we have seen them play with this sort of volatility all season long, and they have lived to tell the tale in most of these games outside of Baltimore and now the LA Rams. I mean, the Houston game was a little bit different because they brought it back and the defense really slammed the door shut in the second half of that game. But these two were bad examples of how it could get away from them. And even in this one, I think might even be a little bit more cause for concern because it canceled out what was probably the best game of Josh Allen's season in the process. But even still, they have been playing this super cliche bend but don't break the entire year, and they've lived to tell the tale. So they've been getting off the field. They have been
forcing turnovers in every single game,
forcing field goals. They've been forcing field goal attempts. They've been forcing turnovers. They have gotten off the field. So I wouldn't panic about it. But that said, they have to get these explosive plays in order. It has been just so commonplace. I think my colleague at The Athletic, Mike Sando, put out a stat that their explosive run rate against, it was heading into the game, it was something along the lines of 11%, which is the second worst in the league. So this is something that needs to be addressed. The defensive tackle position has not been good enough against the run. The linebackers have not been good enough against the run, and that trickles back to the safeties too.
Yeah. There's a lot of comments about the defense in particular, but anything you want to add?
I honestly, I think there's a larger body of work. We've seen all season, this is not a dominant defense.
No.
In fact, they usually play badly in the first half and then bail themselves out in the second half. I don't think this is, I'd have to think it's an alarming trend. I think there's a larger sample size of their body of work that says they're not great, but coupled with an outstanding offense, you'll still win a lot of football games and you have a chance to beat anybody in the playoffs. And also, you're going to have a day like yesterday. Everything was terrible.
Yeah.
I think Russell Douglas is a good cornerback, and he wasn't on Sunday. And Teron Johnson is one of the best nickel backs in the league, and he wasn't on Sunday. And Greg Rousseau, I think, is a good player. I don't even know if he played yesterday. I don't remember seeing him make a play during the game yesterday. So I think all the stuff it was one of those perfect storm days. They played a really good quarterback with two great receivers and a good running back and a healthy offensive line. I'm not going to panic over that.
In no weather.
In no weather, in perfect
in
conditions.
ideal.
Big...
Like, actually, well, think about it. If McCaffrey doesn't get hurt, who knows how San Francisco, they were trending towards him running for 200 yards.
He would have gone for at least.
But I'm just saying, I wouldn't go bananas just yet. I think a lot of things happen, and I think there's a larger sample size that says they'll be okay defensively. Not great, but good enough.
I have a really good question from Mark. So we're going to talk about that in the commercial break, Mark. I see you're watching us on Facebook. So this is about Ed Oliver. The conversation continues. If you're watching on TV, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right. This is a really good question because it's something that a lot of people want to know. He's asking about a particular player and where are they? Bet you could guess who he's talking about.
Ed Oliver.
Ed Oliver. Exactly. Where is Ed Oliver?
The San Francisco game was one of the worst he's had in a couple of years.
Sure.
Particularly against the run. I hate to cop out. I have not watched the film, and I don't feel comfortable talking about defensive tackle or
defensive tackle is not something you're
specifically like defensive tackle or linebacker who struggled the most out of those groups. I just know the groups in general struggled because they were literally getting moved out of the way.
Well, let me ask you this though: how about the whole year? Because I think that's another thing. A lot of people
That's right.
So Ed Oliver, his pass rush has not been as frequent this season, which is probably why people are panicking about him.
Yeah, the numbers just aren't there.
But still, against the run, he has been better than you would think.
Okay.
I tend to think that he's having one of his more down years since he's been in the league, but still, to me, that is above average to good in the scope of the season. Not factoring in the Rams game.
This is the difference between Joe. This is why Joe is really good at what he does, because Joe will look at all the film and break all this stuff down, and I'm just a guy who watches the game and tells you what I think. You don't notice it. I go with this is like the smell test, where you watch the game, how many times you see Oliver making a play, not just pushing the pocket or getting a pressure or a quarterback hit, maybe a tackle for loss, something.
I can think of like two on the entire
when
year.
He's on his game. You notice him bullying people.
That's why it's a down year for him, because he's not making those flash plays that he normally has. And but the counter to that is he's doing all the other stuff that he normally does. Yeah. Just that those flash plays aren't there yet.
And I think I get it. The nature of that position is you really have to pay close attention, and the stats don't bear out how successful someone can be at that spot.
100%,
I understand that,
100%.
But he still makes plays every now and then. You say, "Oh my God, look what Oliver did on that play."
Yep, I agree there. He needs to do more of those.
I have a really good comment here from Jay, and I think we'll talk about this on television. This is a comment from Melanie. I feel so bad for Josh. He's being really held back. Is there any way he could leave? I sure wouldn't blame him. Wow, Melanie. I think that's the worst nightmare of Bills fans, that you just kind of hit the nail on the head. I have no idea what's going to happen in several years or whatever happens. Kind of get the sense that Josh Allen's going to Bill's lifer.
Also, he's going to get paid pretty soon.
Oh yeah, I think
Yeah,
the
they got to
Bills.
redo the contract.
I think the Bills are going to rip up his contract and give him something that
Where's
doesn't
he
make
now
him
in terms of highest
the
paid?
He's like
Outside
14th.
of the top 10.
He's like 14th.
Is he really?
He's like
Is
the
that- he fell
14th.
that far?
Yeah, he's like the
Because of all the
14th
contracts?
highest paid quarterback.
It's going to be a thing this
Well,
offseason,
when he wins the MVP, his agent's going to be on the phone talking.
I don't think his agent needs to be on the phone.
Yeah, I
think
guess
that's
the
what
Bills
coming
will
back
call
will
the agent.
Yes.
That makes sense.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for all the questions we've had come in. A couple questions about Ed Oliver we just talked about, AJ Epinesa. But this is a comment from Jay, and I wholeheartedly agree, Jay, because this kind of pieces all things together. They need an impactful defensive end, and he also commented, been a common theme for years, no pass rush. I don't really disagree there because I keep thinking back to the teams the Bills have had, and it's like, yeah, there was the AFC Championship, and it was like Mario Addison and Jerry Hughes on the back end of his career. A little Shaq Lawson mixed in.
Jerry
Hughes was a dude, but he was a dude.
Year here, right?
I
Yeah.
don't think that was his last.
No, I think he had one more year after that. But the point is, Greg Rousseau is supposed to be that guy. And Howard's point about yesterday, nobody remembers anything that he did in the game.
I said this on the stream. I'm just reiterating it on TV. I haven't watched the film on him, so I don't know how impactful he was from a pass rush perspective.
Yeah, but how impactful? Nobody passed. They couldn't get to him.
Yes, but Stafford was still dealing and moving around the pocket to where he could have had pressure that we just don't remember.
Sure.
But then I'll take Matt's question then for the stream too about the DTs. Bigger picture.
Yeah.
Over the course of the 13 game season,
Yeah.
the Bills pass rush has been
Meh.
Yeah.
Outside
That's
of
the point,
Rousseau,
right?
they
It's
need,
just-
they need,
it
they
needs
need
to
more
be
for
better.
AJ Epinesa.
Yeah.
Von Miller is not good.
Yeah.
I mean, he had some flashes early on in the year. Nothing to speak of recently. So
it's either Rousseau does it or
Epinesa
a blitz.
or you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's for some reason just been a one
I
area.
need to hope Ed Oliver starts to have more flash plays.
This is another good question. This is from Lori, and it's, did Milano get too many snaps? He seems slow at times. Now, I know that Joe hasn't watched the film yet. I thought there were times in the first half where Milano was hurting them, just watching the game live. I was like, missed a play. I mean, he got Blake Corum sent him like to a different year.
Right.
And I'm not saying like that's just one play.
Blake Corum's got a ridiculous jump cut on him.
Yeah,
he planted the foot and man,
it's just
He's
interesting
fun.
because it's a philosophical thing. Do you bring him back now and let the mistakes happen and hope that he is a better version of himself in 4 weeks when you're in the playoffs and the games really matter? Or do you use him in a different role than he always was? I don't know what the answer to
They
that
already
question
are
is.
using him in a different role than he already was.
Sure, but he only came back 2 games ago, so I don't know if it's always going to be this way or if it's going to change.
He's building towards an every snap role, I think.
Yes.
What was the snap count yesterday? I'm looking it up if you don't know it.
No, I don't know it offhand, but
Okay, 'cause I'm
I do know
curious.
that they didn't face many 3rd and long situations. I think they faced like 9 total.
Yeah.
So it was probably like whatever the defense was minus 9.
It was a handful of them, and they were really in the second
Yes.
half. I think there was only one in the entire first half.
Yeah, you're correct. There was only one. It was the 3rd and 6, which the Rams converted. So yeah, I don't think he probably played more than they wanted him to, but that was mostly situationally based because of how they're using him.
All right, we're going to answer more questions during the commercial break on the stream.
84%.
We will be right back on the TV side of things. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Leading the Charge.
It's actually more than the San Francisco game, right? Wasn't he at 77%?
He had 77 against the 49ers.
77%.
77%.
He was at 84%.
84%. I
a
mean,
lot.
this is a question from Carolyn. Would they ever go back to Dorian Williams? Younger, quicker than Milano at this point, coming off of injury.
I don't think so.
I don't think they would, Carolyn. I don't think it's a bad question because I think it's a valid point of
He
would
had
they
no
go
snaps
back.
on defense.
I mean, but it feels like they're going to kind of live and die with Milano, right?
Yeah, and
But are they ramping him up too much too fast?
I don't think so. You need to see if you do need to make a change by the time the playoffs come.
Okay.
But they're going to give Matt Milano every opportunity. And again, I don't know exactly what he did throughout that duration of that game. I know the highlights of getting juked out of his shoes by Blake Corum, but outside of that, I need to watch it tomorrow. I was on a red eye last night. I didn't watch the film today.
22.
I know I have evidence of you sleeping.
22 DA.
Your
What?
seat?
My
Your
seat?
seat, yeah.
Yeah.
I sat right behind Joe.
What? You guys weren't in first class?
You took
Oh.
a picture of me?
He does.
Oh, I sat right behind you.
I saw you.
Oh, I took a picture of you on the second flight. You and Burrito.
I told him to
I took a
tweet it.
selfie with the two of you.
Was I out?
Yeah, that's why.
Cold.
Yeah.
Cold.
One thing that we will talk about. Shout out Joe.
I can't sleep. I can't sleep regularly, but on planes,
Woo. Yeah.
That is-
Shout out Joe for suggesting Dream Water, which is just water with melatonin mixed in. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but man, did that stuff work. I remember taking off from LAX and waking up in Chicago, which was a really great feeling. Is Von Miller gone after this year? This is from Mike.
yeah,
Yes, absolutely. I don't think that's a
Was it
question.
8 million or something?
Well, it is a question, but I think that
you can save $8+ million to get rid of him. It's done.
Mike asks,
And you got to pay Josh.
is Von Miller gone after this? Or excuse me, I just asked that. John, is McDermott's game management a concern for the Bills in big games?
He's gotten
better at
a
it.
lot better at it.
Yeah.
And to the point where, late game situations, he's going for it at a higher rate. I mean, do we not remember the Chiefs game a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, he deserves credit for that. I know his bad moments get blown up because of his history, but he also deserves some credit for his good moments too. But I know it's not a popular thing right now because he literally called a timeout that cost them the chance to get back and win the game.
Yeah, it was a boneheaded move there.
Yep.
Josh Allen should be the MVP regardless of the loss. 6 touchdowns, that has to seal the deal. 2 weeks of broken records. I mean,
No arguments here, Your Honor.
No arguments here. I think we all agree that he has been the MVP. Now, I really went out on a limb about it a couple weeks ago on the show.
Yeah,
I was the only one saying it. Nobody else was saying it.
I don't know how you live to tell the tale.
I know, right? Josh Allen being
Risky
the
move on your part.
Josh Allen being the MVP and Micah Hyde. Those are the only 2 things I really know how to talk about. After that,
set you above everybody else.
that's what the difference is.
Well,
All right.
that was actually a good
5
line.
seconds.
You and me.
Yeah. All right, a lot of people are watching right now because they're now responding to each other in the comments, like saying hi to each other. We have a Carolyn saying hi to Melanie and a Melanie saying hi to a Paul. So everybody, it's a party.
Nice.
It's a party in the Leading the Charge comment section
big
right
family.
now. The Lions are coming up.
Yes.
I never really said this on TV, but I said it to people who cover the team and to family and friends. For some reason, going into this game, I had a feeling the Bills might lose to the Rams and could beat the Lions, which I know seems counterintuitive. I know we're a long ways out, and there has been a very common thing on social media. It's like, did you see what the Rams just did to them? Can you imagine what the Lions are going to do? And my thought is, it can't be worse. They scored basically every time they were on the field. What are your just general thoughts about this Lions game?
It's going to be a score fest.
Yeah, it's going to be what we watched yesterday.
The Lions are totally banged up on defense.
Yeah.
They're not getting much of a rush, and they're playing above expectation on defense, even though they allowed 31 points to the Packers last week.
Mm-hmm.
Their offense is ridiculous. They are the Rams offense times 5.
Yeah.
Because their offensive line is one of the best in the league, probably competing with the Eagles for the best offensive line in the league. They're powerful, which is exactly what the Bills just had trouble with stopping this past week with the Rams offensive line because they block with power, run block with power. Their receivers are not as good as the Rams, but they're really darn good. Amon-Ra St. Brown and then Jamison Williams, who can take the top off off the defense. Yep. But their running backs are way better than what the Rams have. The dichotomy between David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs going from power to speed and how they use them. I mean, they do one drive to the other, but you know what they do? About 6 plays into the drive, they sprinkle in the other guy just for a different look and for a couple of plays to give the other guy a breather, and then they go back to the other guy. So it's like this power, or speed, power, speed. It's going to be a difficult time stopping them.
That's how you watch the game.
But the Bills should be able to move the ball really well on this defense.
Yeah, they've won 11 in a row, which is pretty crazy. 11 games.
Maybe someone in Detroit is talking about how they need to lose a game because they're not going to run the table and win the Super Bowl.
I just think the Bills will be able to move the ball at a similar rate to what we saw against the Rams, and I don't see a world where the defense is this bad again. Now, I know the opponent is even scarier of an offensive opponent, but what if the Bills hold them to 35? I think they could score 36.
This is a great discussion. We used to do this all the time.
Right?
When the Bills would play the Chiefs.
Total on the game?
We would always talk
I don't
about
know.
bet the over.
I'm going to look right now.
It's got to be in the what?
Well,
a high over-under is in the 50s.
It's probably
right?
56.5 is my guess.
Mid-50s.
I'm
is
completely
that
guessing.
high?
Yeah.
Wow.
We used to have this discussion every time they would play the Chiefs. Give me the number.
Yeah, 30.
Give me the number.
Right?
The Bills win the game if they
score
X points.
Yeah.
54.
Okay.
The number for this game is 38.
Wow, that's really, really high.
38 points.
The over in Bills Rams was hit with 18:54 to go
In the game?
in the game.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Listen, the Lions are a really good team. I know what we watched happen yesterday. I still think the Bills are a really good team.
What's the number? Bills score how many points to win?
35.
38.
I'm right in that range.
Okay.
36 and a half.
It's going to be a score fest.
All right, one more segment coming up on the other side of the break.
54-51. Rams
Oh.
Chiefs.
I mean,
Oh, I thought you were saying.
54-51.
this is from Saber's Slump. There's been a lot of these. If Allen makes one mistake next week, we won't have a chance. Allen has to have a game like he did against LA. No way this D stops that firepower. I don't know if I agree.
I don't agree either. I think they're going to have a fire under their butts.
I think they just got embarrassed.
Yep.
I think that they've had a really good way of self-correcting over the course of Sean McDermott's tenure on both sides of the ball.
Yep.
I also think the way the Lions play, like they are a run-first team, and I have issues with the way the Bills stop the run.
Yeah.
But it's harder to run up a score when you are running the ball at the clip that they're going to do, even if they average 6-7 yards a carry, which they probably will.
I mean, Gibbs though.
He's great. I know. And Jameson Williams is great.
Gibbs can
it could
rip
also-
off a 60-yarder.
That's
Yeah.
the point. His point about explosive runs. They're not just running for 5,
Yeah.
6 yards. They could be running.
You're
for
not
15
getting that
or
from
20
Montgomery
yards.
mostly.
No.
When Gibbs is in the game, if they miss a tackle on him, that could be 40, 50 yards.
Yeah, I think too, and I know that this is not a great argument, but Matt Stafford
At least he knows.
Matt Stafford is elite.
He's good.
He's a
He's
great
very good.
quarterback.
That's
He's-
right.
He's much better than Goff.
I
Yes,
agree.
that's what I mean.
Yes.
Like,
And I
But
think people
Goff
forgot.
he's gotten leagues better than he
For
was.
sure.
But I think
I
people
understand
forgot
that.
how good Stafford is.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
I mean, Matt
completely.
Stafford you could make the argument yesterday. Matt Stafford played the best game a quarterback has had against the Bills in a long time yesterday.
He was
Yeah, it was
A
terrific.
long time.
Those throws were
Those
dynamite.
throws were ridiculous. And there were a couple throws to like Puka Nacua where the coverage was actually really, really good. And Nacua still brought in the passes. I mean, it was ridiculous. All right, 15 seconds coming up, and then we'll be right
What is
say
this?
goodbye.
Just a quick final
Yeah.
thought? Or? Okay.
You know who just joined the comment section? Dom Tibbetts. You know what his question was? Yes.
Why doesn't Dom get more airtime?
No.
GDAR.
No. Has Matt done a snow angel yet? And now people are commenting. Melanie says,
no
I
snow.
love it, although I wouldn't do one either. Yeah, there's no snow. I didn't do any snow angels in LA. All right, we got a
There
couple
is in my
minutes
house.
left. South Towns. Final thoughts as we get ready for this week. They're 10-3. We already know they're going to the playoffs. Where's your panicometer? I made that up.
We're doing the panic thing again.
No, it's just general.
Okay.
That was about specifically defense.
My final thought is buckle up
Yeah.
for this game. It is going to be so much fun.
Yes.
I cannot wait to watch this game unfold. I was pretty excited about the Rams game because I thought it had shootout potential because the Rams offense have been playing lights out recently. But this game, with the way that the Lions defense is set up, with the answers that the Bills defense has to provide. If you like defense, this one might not be for you.
No.
If you like offense, which most of us do, buckle up. It's going to be fun.
I'm not panicking. I don't have a reason to panic yet.
No,
And
No.
I don't think anything that happens on Sunday will change that.
no.
I don't want to say 100% certainty because I got to see the Lions game play out.
Yeah.
But I just think panicking right now, I don't feel like there's a need to do that at this point.
I think we've said it a couple
They're
different times.
going to live and die with their offense. It's been the story
Yes.
for 4 years,
Yes.
5 years. Still the story.
It's still the story. It's always going to be the story with Josh Allen here. I know like the Chiefs won a Super Bowl because their defense was great last year. I don't think that's going to be how the Bills do it. I think they're going to do it because Josh Allen is the best player in the NFL. And until proven otherwise, he's that good. All right, Joe B., Howard Simon, Matt Beauvais, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again next week after the Lions game.
Sorry, I made you go long.
No, you're totally fine. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We very
Everyone
much
on the
appreciate
Bye.
it. Hey, the Sabres took the lead. It's 3-2 in
You're
the first
so
intermission.
negative. You just don't believe in them.
I just don't believe in them.
Thanks for
Yeah.
fixing my mic.
Thank you.